Welcome back to Burnt Wood Workshop. Today we're going to cover stencils. If you're like me, you've got just tons of stencils for different things. I got just all kinds of stencils. And sometimes you want something specific, you can't find it, and they start adding up. So I've got an M1 Ultra, and I wanted to see if I could make some stencils. So that's what we're going to go over today, is making stencils with your M1 Ultra. And this is just a quick look at something I did with it. And you get some pretty decent detail with it. And we'll go over that coming up. Okay, so we want to make some Halloween stencils with our M1 Ultra. What we want to do is, let's go here. We're going to go for Halloween since it's coming up. And we're going to take and say we want, one of the things you got to keep in mind when you're doing these is something like this would be very simple. This one would be a little more difficult. So let's do this one just for the fun of it. Okay, so we're going to take this and we're going to bring it in, and we're also going to do a bat. Let's do this bat. Okay, so these are our two stencils that we're going to make on this sheet. All right, now we got a 12 by 12 sheet. We're going to make these 5 inches. All right, so we get a really good sized pumpkin. Now, with a stencil, if you cut this out, you're going to cut the pumpkin out, but you're going to lose the eyes. So what we want to do is, you could connect everything, but we like this look. So what we want to do is we want to release compound vector. There's our pumpkin, and there's our face. We are going to get rid of this. We don't really want that little curly Q. It'll be hard to cut, so it's going to get eliminated. So in order to do that, we're going to go in here, we're going to go to Edit, and we're just going to take this and we're going to drag this line to something like that. And then we're going to drag that to there. We're going to go with our scissors. We're going to cut all of this out of here. And then we're going to take this and we're going to just drag it to there and straighten that one out. Straighten that one out just so they look better. And then our little stem here isn't a curly Q on it, so it'll cut nice with the blade. And then we're going to take this, we're going to make it a little wider, because your narrow stuff, it tends to be a little fragile, so we're going to do that. And then we're going to come in here, whoops, I'm going to scroll in and we're going to move this one wider, and move this over here. We're going to add a line there. And we're going to delete that. We're going to delete that. Okay, so there's our stencil. And what we've got to do, what I forgot to do and why this is doing that, is we want it on blade cut. We want it on cutting blade. We want the 60-degree blade. We don't want the fine point blade. Okay, so there's our pumpkin. And here's our bat. We're going to make him 5 inches. No, we're not. We're going to make him 4. Keep changing. We'll get it right eventually. Okay, and then on our bat, obviously eyes aren't going to translate well. So we're going to take the eyes. And we're going to take those. We're going to hold shift. And we're going to group them so they don't move. And then we're going to slide those up, just so that when you're doing this, you can block off, you can tape that off, and you can do the eyes, and the eyes of the pumpkin and the eyes of the bat together. And then say we want one more thing on here just to do a full sheet. Oh, wrong button. There we go. What would we like for our last thing? How about a ghost? All right, so this guy's my favorite. So let's pick him and bring him over here. I'm going to make him 4.5. And actually, we're going to make him 4. And he's got a lot of extra stuff on him that isn't going to stencil well. So we're going to delete that, delete that, delete that, delete. Well, actually, we could. No, we don't want those because those have to be a different color. That would be a third layer. And you can do a 3-layered one where you could have these in yellow, this in white, and those little marks in black. And if you want to see 3-layered ones, we could do that. And we'll work on that in the future with reference points and stuff. So we've got our little ghost here. And when that stencil cuts out, it's going to cut the ghost out. And you're going to lose your eyes. So we're going to take that. Not the eyes, and we're going to group these together. I don't know if that all grouped though. We didn't. So you hold the shift to make sure you got that. Now group them. And then we're going to take that, we're going to move it up here and move this over. And we are ready to cut. So we're going to go and we're going to take this and we're going to set this for 500 cut pressure, 20 speed, and we're going to do 7 passes. I found works pretty well. It cuts out every time. So we're ready to process. We're going to go process, cut pressure, 1 or more. Okay, so we're going to go back. What did we miss? Oh, all right. So it didn't. So let's take and pick blue. Drop that down. Cutting blade. And then we can just change them all at once. 500. 20. 7. Okay. Now that's all going to get cut at once. And we're going to go into process. And we're going to start. And this is going to take 35 minutes. So this is going to take a little bit of time. But if you figure in 35 minutes and the cost of 3 stencils, or 1 stencil with all this on it, it's not too bad. Okay, so on our M1 Ultra, our stencil just finished. And we're going to pop it off and see if we had success. And there's our pumpkin. And we had one little, nope, popped right out. Alright, just going to work our way around so we don't tear anything. We're running 7mm, but you still don't want to tear it if you can help it. Alright, so we had a couple little spots that didn't peel out. And we can fix that easy enough. And some of them might just pop out just like that. I'm barely holding on. So, there's that. And our little ghosty
Looks like his fingers are sticking a little bit. They were pretty intricate, and I didn't modify them. But let's see if we can get it out without doing any damage. We're not having any luck with that one. So if you run into this, we'll just have to go in with an X-Acto knife and just clip out those little spots. Shouldn't be too difficult. We'll do that real quick. Then we're going to take so I'm ever prepared. We're going to take our brush. We're just going to brush in our green stem. Just kind of dry brushing it. We don't want a ton of paint on it. Okay. We're just drying up pretty good. If we put our next coats on, kind of going up and down in the pumpkin shape, that should give us a pretty good looking pumpkin. Alright. This is just a quick demonstration. We're not going to go crazy. We'll let that dry up for a second. And then we're going to go in with our yellow. The nice thing is, if it isn't quite as dark as you'd like, just go over it a few more times. And watch out that you don't lift the stencil up like I just did. Take my finger and hold that down. Okay, let's put that on lightly, let it dry up a little bit, and then we'll come back in with a little bit more. Spots we missed, we didn't get as dark as we want. And make sure you don't lift the other one up and stick the dauber underneath it. I don't know if it went under it. We won't know until we finish this up. But so once we've gone on with our yellow, we're going to mix on red. Try not to get it in the mouth area if you can. Something like that. That little dab. Red like that. And we could probably do a reveal. Just goofing around. That's a possibility. And then when it's dry, you come in and you could add just throw some lines on there. And make it a little more like look more like a pumpkin. Okay, for the pumpkin we'll use the sponge type. For this, we're going to use this type of brush. And just brush. You don't want it super wet. You want it kind of dry brushing. Because it's better to go over it a couple times than it is to slap it on wet and have it run underneath the stencil. It's also good to brush over the stencil and down than to go up like that, because you can lift the stencil. But if you're watching this, you've probably done stencils and don't need my commentary on that. Okay, there's our first coat. We'll let that dry up for a little bit. Luckily, acrylic paint dries pretty fast, so we'll probably be able to go right over another coat. Well, no, it's starting to lift. So we'll let it dry. Okay, we should be dry enough. Let's put some more on here. Okay, we're getting some nice coverage now. Okay, so we've got the black done on our bat. And now we're just going to peel this off. Okay, so we've got our bat done. Now we want to put our eyes on the bat. Instead of brushing on, you just take one of your, if you have any of these acrylic pens, fill your eyes in like that. Okay, so we just did the eyes with the acrylic pen, and there is our bat. Okay, so here's our skull stencil, and as you can see, down here, these little pieces here got bunched up a little bit. So we're going to clip the parts out that aren't going to lay flat, and then we're going to test our stencil. Okay, so we clipped out those pieces, and I'm not sure how well that's going to come out, so we may redesign this, but we're going to give it a spray and see what happens. So my stencil didn't want to sit down flat on this board, so what I did was I just put a couple of nuts on there just to hold it in place, and we're going to see what happens. And of course I didn't record spraying it. So there it is. I'm just going to put another coat on it real quick. There, we're going to spray that out. Clean our nozzle. Give it a second to dry up a little bit, and we'll check it. Okay, let's see what we ended up with. is we got a little bit of ghosting up on that corner, but actually, I think that came out looking really cool. So there's our first stencil made. I'm pretty happy with the results on that. So I wanted to see how the M1 Ultra did with stencils, because I do use stencils a bit, and I thought it'd be really nice to be able to make my own. So I did these on 7mm Mylar that I got from Amazon. I got 20 sheets for $12.99. I'll put a link in the comments. But that's our one for the pumpkin, bat, and the ghost. The ghost one didn't work real well. The fingers didn't pan out. I would do something different with the hands. The fingers were a little too detailed for the M1. The cuts kind of bunged it up. But I think the bat and the pumpkin came out pretty cool. And then we did the skull. I did a skull, and I did some leaves. I didn't have time for that. These videos end up taking a while, and I run out of time. Probably take me longer than most people, but I did the skull. And what I did was on this, I did the skull, and I did it in a white, and then I flipped it over, and I did it in gold. I thought that would be kind of cool. So that was a skull stencil. The blade you want is the 60-degree blade, and you can get refills for this through XTool. I heard that you don't want to use the fine blade, so I ran this, and this worked really well. The details came out, well, the skull you can see came out really nice. So I hope you like my video. Subscribe if you want to see more. Give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment. If you have any better ideas on stenciling, leave a comment. Ideas for layered. I'm going to do some more layered stencils, and I will have my next video ready as soon as possible.